Welcome, friends. I'm Yvonne Davis, your traveling warrior astrologer, and today I'm talking about the Leo full moon, which I think is actually really exciting. So I'm looking forward to talking about it. I really quickly want to say that I'm still doing my New Year's special for $99, and that is for, especially for February, people may want some kind of reading on their romance or something like that. But anyway, whatever you want, just come on over and check it out. There's a link below. It's only $99 for an hour-long reading. I'm going to keep doing this because actually I may change this to my anti-inflation special, which I'm going to talk a little bit about because, as you probably noticed, there is a lot of inflation. So I also want to mention that I'm still offering my Atomic Habits workshop that is self-paced, and then those who go through this workshop will have a follow-up group coaching in March. And let's see, one more thing is my Patreon channel. So you can come over there. We are having a meeting this coming Friday night, and usually lasts about 2 hours on Zoom. And we talk about anything and everything we want to talk about. We look at the alignments and answer all your questions. All right, let's get on to this Leo full moon. Okay, so this Leo full moon is on February 5th. And you can adjust for your time zone, but I have it set for 11:29 a.m. Mountain Time because I'm on Mountain Time, but all you have to do is just adjust for your time zone. You can see here that the full moon is at 16 degrees of Leo, 41 minutes, opposite the sun at 16 degrees of Aquarius, 41 minutes. And what's interesting about this particular full moon is that it is squaring Uranus. Uranus is at 15 degrees of Taurus. And so this is a very interesting configuration that I'll be talking about. But before I go into that more, I also want to say that there are some really favorable aspects in this chart. One of them being that it's in a trine and sextile to Mars in Gemini. So the sun is in a trine to Mars in Gemini, and the full moon is in a sextile to Mars in Gemini. So that energy is really super favorable. And as you know, Mars was retrograde for 8 weeks. So now it's direct, and in fact, all of the planets are direct. So it's a really great time for getting things done and making things happen, moving out into the world, getting things done, making things happen. That's what it's all about, okay? This also has a wide trine and sextile to Jupiter in Aries. So Jupiter is at 6 degrees of Aries, 58 minutes, so basically 7 degrees of Aries. And as I said, it's in a wide trine and sextile to this full moon. So that's about a 10-degree orb, something like that. Actually, it's a little less than 10-degree orb. So it's a wide orb, but it's still a trine, and it's still working for us in a very favorable way, which means that we also have the Jupiter-Mars sextile, okay? So all of these planets in the fire signs and the air signs are working in a very favorable way so that you can make things happen, and they're all moving forward and direct so that you can also move forward and take action and make things happen in the world. So whatever it is that you want, this is the time to go out and do it. I love that Jupiter because it is just so incredibly buoyant, optimistic, and outgoing, and generous, and hopeful, and just everything you could possibly want. It is just absolutely beautiful there in Aries right now, and especially in the way that it is trining the full moon and sextiling the sun, and also sextiling Mars. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the aspects of this chart that may feel a little bit challenging. And the first one is the square to Uranus and Taurus. So here's what we want to be thinking about. And you can look at where it's landing in your chart. So for example, if it's in one of the supply houses, that would be If the full moon is in the 2nd house, then your sun would be in the 8th house, or vice versa. Those are the money houses. Or if it's in the 10th and 4th house aspect, that's also considered part of the supply houses, because the 10th house is your career, and it's where you are seen publicly for what you contribute. And so when you have a full moon there, even if it's the sun, you are also going to be benefiting from that energy in your career. Okay, so that's part of the supply houses. And then the 6th house, 6th and 12th house axis is also part of the supply houses, because the 6th house is work and daily routines. So money houses, work house, career house, all of those houses are part of the supply houses. So if you have the sun or the moon in any of those houses, then you're going to benefit from this full moon. But that may also include Jupiter, because if you've got Jupiter in any of those houses, you're going to benefit too. And also Mars, okay? So all of those planets that are making trines and sextiles and moving forward, if they're in your supply houses, you're going to benefit. But if they're in your relationship houses, you're also going to benefit, okay? So the relationship houses are the 5th and 11th house axis, which this is in this chart because I've set it with Aries in the 1st house. So that puts the moon in 5th house Leo, because that's the house it naturally rules, and the sun in Aquarius. And so that's, yeah, really, really beautiful energy for friendships, social networks, social circles, drawing clients if you're self-employed, but basically anyone you meet, you can have an opportunity to get along with them and expand your social networks. And same with the moon in the 5th house, that rules children and romance, but also people that we recreate with. So if you go on a vacation with someone, or if you're involved in a hobby or some kind of club or community, again, you can get along with people much easier with these kinds of alignments. The 7th house is also a relationship house. So if you have any planets like this full moon, if it's in the 7th house, 1st and 7th house axis, then it's also activating a relationship house. Now, there may be other places, that it's landing, like 3rd and 9th house axis. That's all about information, expanding your mind, exposing yourself to new information, new ways of thinking. So I think that pretty much covers all of the axes. And I'm just pointing out that wherever the sun, moon, Jupiter, and Mars are, you're going to be getting benefits from it, okay? But there will be a challenge coming from wherever Uranus is. So if Uranus, or, if it's in one of the money houses, or if it's squaring the full moon in the money houses or relationship houses, then there may be a challenge. But I wanted to express what this energy feels like. And basically, the energy of Uranus likes to break free. It's all about the break, breaking free, breaking up, breakthroughs, breakdowns. It just cracks things open and breaks things open and breaks things apart. And this is actually a good thing, because sometimes we're in a stale situation, but it's our comfort zone, and we're afraid to break free from it. We're afraid to break up. We're afraid to break through, because it may come with a breakdown. Breaking free often comes with a breakup. Breaking through often comes with a breakdown. And it's those things, that change, that sometimes we resist because it might be difficult, but it can also be good. And Saturn is in an orb to this full moon, 10-degree orb, so similar to that orb with Jupiter, but it's a little bit different because of the fact that the sun and moon are applying an aspect to Saturn. So the sun will conjoin Saturn in about 10 days after the full moon, and the full moon will oppose Saturn within 24 hours of the full moon. So the fact that Saturn, even though it's a 10-degree orb, it actually feels really tight because of the fact that the sun and the moon are both applying an aspect to Saturn. So it makes that Saturn energy much stronger with this full moon. And so I want to talk not so much about the moon in opposition to Saturn, because the moon moves pretty fast. So whatever it brings up, maybe it'll bring up some kind of unpleasant, depressed feeling. Sometimes moon in aspect to Saturn does that, maybe feeling unloved or some disappointment or something like that. But the moon moves quickly. So, it's like, okay, that orb may be in effect for 24 hours and then it's gone. So don't worry about that too much. But as the sun is moving closer and closer to Saturn, we're going to feel that aspect of the sun conjunct Saturn. And that's an energy of restriction. So we have this energy of the Uranus square wanting to break free, and we have this energy of the sun conjunction to Saturn of feeling kind of bogged down, restricted, constricted, limitations, requirements, and just like this imposing feeling that just feels constricting, limiting, restricting. Obstacles, may come up as a problem that we have to deal with, or maybe it's just an internal feeling of like you feel oppressed by it, maybe even depressed by it. It's just not the funnest energy. But when you think about the positive ways that the sun conjunction to Saturn in square to Uranus can work, you can see the positive side of it. And that's where this energy of Jupiter and Mars come in, because Jupiter is hopeful and optimistic. Jupiter is always looking for solutions. And Jupiter will help us find solutions. Whatever this problem is that comes up, and it may be about money. I mentioned the whole issue of inflation. I think that is totally representation of this kind of energy. I'm sure everybody's feeling it. When you go to the grocery store, it's absolutely shocking. I mean, I can't believe it. Last time I went to the grocery store was a couple days ago, and I bought one bag of groceries, and I use a canvas bag now because in Colorado we passed a law that you have to pay 10 cents now for a plastic bag, which I'm totally fine with. And so I bring my canvas bags now. And I had one bag of groceries, and it was $75. And partly that was because I got a couple of supplements. But still, that I just it's mind-boggling. I can't remember, prior to the pandemic, never would I pay $75 for one bag of groceries, even if I was buying a couple bottles of supplements. It's just insane. And then I had to go to another store because they didn't have everything I needed, and that one was $65 for one bag of groceries. So it's been pretty mind-boggling, and because I've never experienced that prior to the pandemic, and it's noticeably been getting worse and worse and worse over the past few years. It's just, one day I was at the store and I saw there was like maybe a package of 8 croissants from the bakery at the store. It was like $5. The next time I went there, which was within the same week, it was $8. I was just like, what? I just can't believe it. I mean, how can something go up in price by $3 within a week? It doesn't make any sense. It's mind-boggling. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure there are a lot of complicated reasons. But this is just to illustrate this idea of the sun moving into a conjunction with Saturn. There's that limitation, that constriction. It's limiting the value of our dollar. And we have to find a solution. So Uranus is helping us to find those solutions, to break free in some way, to break through in some way. And I will also mention another example of this. I recently watched a documentary on Netflix called Plastic Island about how so much of the so-called recycled plastic from the more advanced, industrialized countries is getting shipped to Asia and Malaysia as a way of recycling, because we don't necessarily have the facilities here to do that. So we ship it over to those countries, and guess what happens? 80% of it doesn't even get recycled. It gets dumped in the ocean. Oh, it's just sickening. And then it washes up on the beaches. This one in particular was about Bali, how all this plastic garbage is washing up on the shores of Bali. And some of it went all the way back to the 1980s, plastics that were brands that were from the 1980s. It was so disturbing and depressing. And so that's the Saturn Sun conjunction, is becoming aware of this burden. That's a good word, because it's a very Sun conjunct Saturn kind of word. And the recognition that there is a problem and we need to find a solution. So Uranus comes in that square and is trying to help us to find a solution. Okay, we need to break free from our addiction to plastics and fossil fuels, okay, because they come from the same source, and we need to find solutions. So I've mentioned a couple of things that are a little bit depressing. Inflation, it's no fun. This plastic problem is no fun. The fossil fuel problem is no fun. But at the same time, we have to find solutions. So what I want to say about this chart is to think about anything in your life where you're seeing this restriction coming in, okay? I just gave 3 examples that are kind of global examples. They're both local and global, because we deal with that in our own personal life, but it also affects us on a global scale. But you may be having other problems coming up in your life that are more personal. Whatever it is, just understand that the Uranus square is trying to help you to break free and break through. So find ways that you can break free and break through. Maybe you want to drive less. Maybe you are going to change your shopping habits. Maybe you're going to start using canvas bags. It can be something small. You don't have to feel like you have to solve every problem in your life or every problem in the world. Just take action. And that's where this favorable Mars energy comes in, because Mars wants to take action. And that's where the favorable Jupiter energy comes in, because Jupiter is hopeful and optimistic and forward thinking. Uranus is also forward thinking. So we can find solutions to the problems in our own personal lives and the global problems. And that's what this chart is all about. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. And I hope that you will like this video, share with friends and family and on social media, and comment below. And again, if you need a reading, just check out the link below. I'm still doing my $99 special. And if you want to join the workshop, Atomic Habits, just check out the link below. And if you want to come on over to Patreon, it's only $5 a month. And you can join us at the Friday night Zoom meeting. All right. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.